Welcome to the Pixl Marketing Show, the podcast for real estate media pros who want to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results. I'm your host, Pete Stagel, founder of PixlCRM and creator of the Pixl Marketing Method. And every week, we're diving into the systems, strategies, and real stories that help you attract better clients, retain them longer, and grow a real business. Let's get into it. When most of us start the business, we're focused on the craft. The shoots, the edits, the gear. But scaling a real estate media company takes more than just being great with a camera. It takes systems, people, and sometimes learning the hard way about which hire to make first. Today you're going to hear from Wayne Helm, the owner of Black Clover Media, who went from crawling around in dark basements for home inspections to building a thriving real estate media company. Wayne's story is packed with real-world lessons, such as why he left the home inspection world behind for real estate photography, how his corporate sales and marketing background shaped the way he built his company, what happened when he discovered the depth of PixlCRM and the Pixl marketing method, and how automation now drives growth, even when he's not selling, and how the surprising power of a simple weekly hot sheet that's winning him new clients without cold outreach. Wayne's been with PixlCRM since nearly the beginning, but it wasn't until he dove into the systems, the book, and the masterclass that things clicked and the growth followed. If you've ever wondered, am I really using my CRM to its full potential? Or what would happen if I actually implemented all these systems? This conversation is going to light a fire in you. So let's dive in. Here's my interview with Wayne Helm of Black Clover Media. Welcome, Wayne. Let's dive into you and your business and how you got started.
Hey, Pete. I got started back in 2020. I was actually an owner of a Housemaster home inspection franchise, and I was a home inspector doing stuff with a drone. And I came home one day and I said, "What else can I do with a drone?" And up popped real estate photography, and actually bought another franchise. And I was running two simultaneously. And the real estate photography really just took off, and I found I really enjoyed it a lot more than being in a dark and dungy crawl space somewhere. And so I sold the Housemaster home inspection franchise, and I kept going with the real estate photography franchise. I did that for the last almost 5 years. I bought up my contract with state photography franchise, and now I'm on my own. So that's kind of where we're at today.
That's awesome. That's a kind of a parallels my story. I was doing a real estate home inspection business first, and then went into the real estate media side of things as well. My wife was a realtor for a little while, and I was in between businesses. You know, everybody knows I'm a serial entrepreneur. I do a lot of things, and I figured, home inspection might be an interesting way. But I, like you, dark and dungy, crawl spaces, and standing on 3-story roofs to inspect.
Yeah.
I'm not built for that.
Nope.
Yeah, and I was doing much more of the marketing stuff too with them. So it was like, you know what? Let's just stick with the marketing, cleaner, keep. And our agents aren't as but agents don't like home inspectors, because home inspectors are constantly trying to kill the deal or whatever.
Yep.
they like to say. And so trying to market to people who don't like you is kind of hard to do.
It is hard to do. And with home inspectors, you actually get paid by the seller, or I'm sorry, by the buyer.
Mhm.
So, but you have to market to the real estate agent to get the phone calls. So it's really kind of a weird concept, and it was hard for me to grasp it, because when you can't market to the person that's actually paying you, it makes it just, for me, it was difficult. And you're right, real estate agents, when they find a home inspector that they like and trust, that they're not going to kill the deal, or they might kill the deal if it needs to be killed. I just wasn't that guy. So, and I found the path of least resistance was with real estate photography. So I found it to be a lot more enjoyable, a lot more just, I look forward to getting out of bed every day to do this. And with home inspecting, even though it was still going into people's homes, things that I enjoyed, I knew that there was a lot of liability that goes along with being a home inspector.
Yeah, absolutely. So you brought up an interesting point, is both in the home inspecting and in the real estate media business, you went with a franchise. And I know that a lot of our clients that we talk to just started themselves. They're a photographer and they decide to go into this, or or they bought a course online and then, they found, a really cool niche that they got into.
Hmm.
What made you go with franchises rather than just starting yourself?
That's a good question. I used to work for Coca-Cola. I used to work for a beer distributor. So the logos and the marketing and all of the stuff with corporate America, something that I felt I wanted to have to start marketing and selling my services. I wanted a professional look. I wanted letterheads. I wanted postcards. I wanted marketing material. I wanted all that I didn't. That was a weakness of mine that I'm not good with Canva. I'm not good with some of that graphic stuff. And trying to come up with a creative mind to come up with a logo was just something that I thought it would be beneficial for me to go to hit the ground running day one with a professional look. So that's why I did it.
Interesting. I like that take because we're actually thinking of it from the marketing aspect, right from the start. Then people
Well,
don't.
well, I'm going to probably date myself here, but I have 30 plus years of sales and marketing experience in my, I guess, my adult career. So that's where my main focus is at all the time. I think that's where a business starts is sales and marketing. What are you going to do to get your business off the ground? Yeah, you could be a great photographer, you can be a great videographer, but how are you going to get yourself out there to start growing the business and then to keep that growth continuing? And now that I'm in my, sort of my sixth year, fifth year, how are you going to keep that momentum going? Because it's so, it's different from year to year depending on where you're at in your business. And that's why I reached out to you earlier this year. I've had Pixl for what now, 2 years, maybe more. Has it been three?
Probably hasn't been quite three, but yeah, you were definitely one of the early ones.
Yeah, when I first started with you, it was basically just to get Google My Business and to maybe do some simple email campaigns. But since I was tied into the franchise, I found out quickly that I can't do the email campaigns because that had to go through the franchise. I couldn't do I think I could do text message campaigns, but 2 years ago, it's texting is still a funky deal with marketing. You got to be careful. And then that's why I reached out to you when I finally went out on my own, started, asking you some questions, and I was like, oh, PixlCRM can do all of this. I didn't. I know that it was a very robust system without a question. I've always knew that, but I didn't know the the breadth and the depth that PixlCRM. I can't tell enough people when I meet them, because they ask me how I do all of this on my own. I have a very limited staff, but it's because I do a lot of things behind the scenes that's automated, or I have Pixl, I have Aereo, I have a VA, I have different people, I have, editors that I don't edit any of my own stuff. I have a full-time and a part-time video editor. So I'm building all the stuff behind the scenes so that I can continue to be in front of the scene. But we're also, and you are important to that because you're going to help me continue to grow doing the sales and marketing that's automated that I can't do. I can't remember to do. You don't have the mind capacity to remember all the things that you need to do, and Pixl takes care of that for you.
Yeah. So going back, actually, so yeah, it's probably about 2 years ago. How did you find us, and what were you trying to solve at that point? I remember having those conversations. How calls it was, "Hey, I'm on a franchise. There's a limited stuff we can do," and I was like, "Sure, you should sign up because if you can't take advantage of a lot of these things, it's like." But you press forward, you signed up, and you used the pieces that you could at that time. But how did you find us, and what were you looking to solve at that point?
I'm a big fan of upmarket media. Love Reed and Ryan, I believe, right? Mark, let's let that part out. I really love Reed and Mark, and I love their podcast. And I believe you started sponsoring their podcast after PMRE one year or during or something. I don't know how that all worked out between you. I gave Reed Fish a call and said, tell me more about this PixlCRM. And he was honest with me and said, well, leave all that up to Chelsea, I believe. And so they do a lot of he doesn't get into the nuts and bolts like I do, but he highly recommended it. And so I called another friend of mine, part of that same franchise that I was part of, and we gave you a call and set up a Zoom with you. And away, I really liked you, Pete. Um, I walked away feeling that you were genuine and you're honest and you care about the customers. And I didn't once get the feeling that you were just there to grow, a big business and forget about the little guys. And so I just liked that it seemed like there was no end to what you guys could do. So even though I didn't use you to the fullest extent in the beginning, I knew that if we built a relationship and I got to know your system, eventually there's going to come a time where I'm going to be using it. And it was, I think on one of our phone conversations, I had said, yeah, I'm looking at this other phone system to switch my phone over from my cell phone provider. And you were like, well, Pixl can do that too. And I'm like, Jesus, what can't you do? So we ported the number over. Now it seems like when I trained my VA and my new admin, and she's also a part-time photographer. I train them and I say, I have a left hand and a right hand. The left hand is area, my dashboard. This is how you bill out. This is how you do your QAs. This is how make sure everybody's running. And the right hand is PixlCRM that makes sure that everybody's happy. And if they're not, we can get a hold of them. They leave Google My Business reviews. We communicate through that. I mean, everything. So it's just those two parts that are simultaneously working in the background 24 hours a day.
That's awesome. So what were you doing before that, before PixlCRM then?
My franchise,
a lot of those ideas to do some of these things.
Yeah, it was so my franchise that I belonged to, we had an email campaign system and they also did some social media stuff through Sochi. That system would constantly disconnect from social media platforms. And we had to get stuff approved through the franchise before we could post. It was when you wanted to post some of your own stuff, they were like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm like, yeah, ain't doing that. Because they wanted us to build their brand, not me. When you're in business for yourself, you're building yourself. You are the brand of your company. And I wanted to do more of that. And so I knew my contract was going to run out eventually, and we just wrote it out.
So before PixlCRM, you were just using whatever the franchise provided and probably spreadsheets to keep track of things, right?
Yeah, even if you're probably giving me more credit than what it's due. And I have a lot of drive time between Colorado Springs and Denver or Fort Collins or sometimes up in Breckenridge, and that's when my mind is like, well, I haven't heard from so and so, so you send them a text or you call them while you're on the road, or you make a note. Siri's a great secretary where you can go, Siri, send me a reminder that I got to send so-and-so an email, seeing how their listing's going. And it was so spotty and so hit and miss. It was actually probably more disastrous than it was beneficial.
Yeah, we had a phone call not that long ago, around the time that you transitioned to Black Clover Media, and you were looking at it and you're like, I haven't heard I hadn't heard from you in a while. And then all of a sudden I get this email of hey, are you guys still doing stuff? I see that you're doing this stuff. Then we had a conversation and you left that conversation a completely different demeanor altogether.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that conversation? I
do, because I had seen some emails from you or whatever about this pixel marketing. I'm just like, well, I don't have time to think about it. But then when I switched over and I started, I think one evening just kind of digging into it, I'm like, okay, a light went on. It's like that's what I need to take my business to the next level in 2026. And this is the way my mind thinks, in order for me to have a successful 2026, I have to put the ingredients together, put it in the oven, and let it bake in 2026. But you can't in 2026 start throwing your cake together and then throw it in the oven, because by the time it's done, it's going to be October. You should already be getting ready for 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always, to me, whatever happens in 2025 is whatever I set in motion in 2024. There's not much I can do that's going to help me finish the year strong. I know that I'm going to have a good year. I know what my growth is going to be. I know everything And so, and when I look at, like I was just before our call, I was looking at where I'm at through the end of the month in 2025, and it's right on. I'm right on track. And so now that it's October, I'm going to be putting together my projected plan, business plan for 2026 and how that looks. And, employee wise, sales growth wise, what's my spend going to be, you know, stuff like that. And so I can pretty much tell you, you know, what that's all going to be in 2026 at the end of October. But Pixl CRM, that's why I was so adamant on kind of fast tracking through this, getting caught up with where you are at, because I knew that October was rolling right around the corner. And now that, my VA has everything baked, he's got everything, all the ingredients in there. We got everything set. The mixing bowl is there. We're ready to pour it into the cake pan, and we'll do that January, and just probably end of December, and we'll be ready to rock and roll January 1.
Yeah. And that ultimately is one of the big impetuses as to why I put the Pixl marketing method together, is because, you're a great example. In the beginning, you set up a few of the things that I showed you how to set up in PixlCRM, and then that was all you used. Part of that obviously was due to the fact that you couldn't do some stuff with franchise, but
Yep.
some of it was just that was what you got set up, and then you just let it sit there and do its thing. But a lot of our early clients were doing that. That's why we put the Pixl marketing method together, and it's exciting to see, because that conversation, that the email I got, hey, I see a lot of stuff going on, but are you actually going to help me with this? And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, I've given you the access to the course and the book and everything. It's like, what do you mean? And then we had that Zoom call and walked through a lot of what was in the book and a lot of what's in the class, and then you dived into it. You dived into it with your VA, and it's crazy to see some of the stuff you're doing. That even though I some of the stuff that you're doing manually just to be able to get it out there, the hot sheet email. You took that.
That was a great idea. That was such an awesome idea. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Because my mind was too busy doing photo shoots. Yeah, the hot sheet was such a great idea. And when or if you ever get a chance to get that automated, I think it's going to make my VA's life a lot easier. But he does it all manually right now.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. I even got because I'm on my test line is on your list,
okay.
And so I got the text message that you sent out saying, "Hey, don't miss the hot sheet coming out next or tomorrow, whatever it was." And I got the hot sheet. It's just cool seeing some of the stuff that you're implementing, and you're just running with it. And because a lot of our clients, they go through the process, they go through the book, they go through everything, and they're a little bit slow to implement some of the stuff because it can be a lot.
How did I put this to somebody? I was talking to somebody from Florida, a friend of mine who's a real estate photographer, that I've been telling him about Pixl. He said it's the cheapest employee that you'll ever have, but they work the hardest than anybody you'll ever employ. That's kind of how I put Pixl.
Yeah, and that's the whole point about automation and systems is it works that way. And that's why a lot of people are going towards the whole AI, because AI can be a more personalized version of your systems, and can actually interact a little bit more. And they're the employee that's going to keep on working and working and working. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Exactly.
AI is not going away, just like the internet. Everybody thought, the internet's just a fad, back in the 90s. It's never going to catch on, it's never going to replace the telephone or, the U.S. postal system. AI is not going away. And so I think for somebody like me, that's an old fuddy-duddy, I think, you got to jump on and you got to learn it. Even though it's difficult for me to learn AI and to figure out how it works, I'm also not afraid to ask you questions because you are very friendly with AI. It's like you guys are buddies. So, and the more I use it, the more I'm like, oh, okay. And so going through your course and how you teach us how to use the prompts and how to go through and how to build that entire process through AI, all of a sudden now your fear and your insecurities of using AI start going away and you start building confidence. And now I'm using it every day.
That's
I
awesome.
use ChatGPT more than Google, every day, because of ChatGPT, it starts to learn who you are. And I didn't know that. I had no
Yeah.
idea. It starts to learn that you're a real estate photographer. It starts to learn, what your interests are. And it just, it starts becoming almost another admin for you, a personal assistant.
Yeah. It's crazy how far AI has come in just the last year. And to think that this is the worst the AI will ever be. It's only getting better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you like I said, you've been around PixlCRM for probably better part of 2 years now, and you had a big reinvigoration here in the last several months. What do you
Mhm.
think is the biggest thing that should change in your business because of PixlCRM and the Pixl marketing method and putting all of these processes together?
Being more in touch with my customers. I think that I've had people reach out to me one and say, "Hey, I love that hot sheet. Here's a new headshot, you know, use it on my next listing." Or I've had agents that I didn't do any shoots for. Hey, how do I get my listing on your hot sheet? I got to hire me to do the shoot.
Yeah,
It's an
pretty
exclusive
simple.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're like, okay, send me all your info. So send them my website and you put them into the CRM, and then they start getting some, onboarding stuff about, here's my introductory deal. And then I've my new customers in the last 60 days that I've been doing more and got more of the automation set up has jumped quite a bit. And I still haven't gone out and sold anything. I haven't physically sold anything to do with my business in 3 years. And to now start seeing a jump in new customers coming in, well, I can't take any credit for that. That's Pixl working for me. That's it.
you can definitely take the credit. You're putting the work in and actually getting these things set up and
My
running
VA's
with
doing all the work. I just can't, I won't take any credit, Pete. And besides the fact that I pay for it and tell him, hey, do this, and then hands off. But he does it all.
Yeah, that's it's awesome to hear that you're actually using it for what it's designed to be used for, and setting up all these systems. Before we started recording, you had mentioned the cool things that you're getting out there and you're doing, and it's refreshing to see that you're actually getting in here doing this, especially seeing you sit with just doing Google reviews in the beginning, and just doing a couple of email campaigns, and now it's like you're a power user now.
Well, I think there's still a lot of runway for what I think I can do. And me and my VA run ideas back and forth, and he's like, "Hey, how about if we do this, or how about if we do that?" Yeah, set up, do the back end stuff, and let me know when you have it ready. So, with building the landing pages and doing this, and so there's just some more things that we're going to start doing with Pixl. We still haven't started yet, but you know, now that I ported my number over too, and I know I'm probably bouncing around because I have all these ideas and all these things that I like run through my head. But my VA in the Philippines has Pixel CRM up, and he has all the text messages and phone calls coming through, and how it automatically records the phone call, so he can listen to it. But now my admin, that's part time here in the States and a part time photographer, in the morning she goes through, or when I'm out doing a shoot, she's constantly. And now my customers are getting responded to in a more timely manner, because I tried not to answer the phone or return a text message while I was at a photo shoot. So it could be an hour or 2 hours, whatever, maybe even more. Maybe I forget about them. But they were not getting responded to, and now they're getting responded to, and the agents don't know it's not me.
Hmm.
Unless there's something, and Tina will go, "Hey, this is Tina. I give you a call," and they're like, "Yeah, absolutely." And so she'll call them. That's the only time that they know it's not me. But
Yeah,
people have received it so well that we're really on addressing anything that comes through. And so it's just everything right here. Like I said, Aerial and Pixel. You're on the monitors constantly.
that's awesome. So I know you talk about the CRM probably way more than I think you do to other people. It is the biggest thing that you'd tell somebody if they were looking at Pixl or even just looking at trying to get some of these systems set up.
It all depends on what somebody brings up an issue. Like, wow, we got a guy that's hired to do our social media. He sits down once a week and does this and does that. And you go, well, are they responding to messages when people are like, hey, nice shoot? Because you got to keep that dialogue going back and forth. Or when they say, hey, what's the address of this listing? Are you responding? Well, no. I said, well, you really should probably get a hold of Pete at Pixl because all of it comes there, and then you're going to see it all come through right now instead of the next time you log into Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media platform you're using. it comes through on your Pixl right now, and so you can respond, or that you have something waiting for you. So that's the conversation I'll have with that person. If somebody's like, hey, I saw that hot sheet. How are you getting that out to everybody? I use my CRM. I use PixlCRM, and that's well, what's that? And so we start that conversation. People ask me, how do you have 60 plus 5-star reviews on Google My Business already? I use PixlCRM. See where all the different tentacles that you have a part of our business, and so it's not just one conversation. It's different ones because everybody's need in their business is different at any given time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And a lot of our demo calls start with just, seeing where people are in their business because, I need to know what is it you're looking for before I can show you the piece of PixlCRM that's going to, most benefit you.
Yeah.
And I like that you reiterated the fact that we don't push you and sell you or anything. We're here to guide you along the way. That is the big thing. There's times where PixlCRM isn't the right fit, and I'll just tell you, like, maybe you should get your business off the ground and get a bunch of shoots coming in before you try to retain.
Worry about it. Yeah, I've had that conversation with some people too, where they've called me and go, hey, tell me more about that CRM you're using. It's like, maybe just grow your business a little bit more first. And I'm not trying to downplay where they're at. Everybody is at a different spot in their business at different times, and you have different priorities in your life and your business life, whatever. So doing PixlCRM isn't always the best for every situation, but when you get to a certain point, it's beneficial. I knew that.
Yeah.
Because when I first started start growing this business, I had a yellow notebook in my passenger seat that I would keep, agent, whatever, agent number. And I had to have page after page of real estate agents. And I talked to them, stopped in their office on this day, sent them a text message, called them, or whatever it was. And so that worked for me for a while. It doesn't work for me anymore, but that system might work. You got to do something, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, whatever. When you're starting out, you should start with some type of a CRM. I've been in sales for too many years to try to tell people not to do it. A CRM, no matter if you're in sales or marketing or just in business, is important. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're coming up to the end of the episode here. And one of the other things that I know that you have some real experience with, especially recently, is the support that we give you. Like I said, in the beginning, I helped you set up some stuff. I didn't hear from you for a little while. You were just coming along, doing your thing, and then when you reached out, you were frustrated because you're just like, hey, why is everybody else getting all this stuff and I'm just not getting this thing off the ground? It's like, hang on a second. It's like we respond to emails right away. We we're very careful to make sure that we're giving you the support we need. And we jumped on a call and we dispelled the, hey, I can't get a hold of you pretty quickly. Can you talk about the support and how we help you?
Well, from day one, I was treated like I was your only customer, and I knew you had dozens and dozens because I would hop on your Facebook Live, and there was always a pretty good group on there weekly or however often you did them. And then I got so busy I couldn't be on them anymore. And that's when I kind of started probably bugging you less. I just got so busy I didn't have time to think about. But PixlCRM was still running in the background doing what I had set it up to do. And I just knew I needed to do something. I was actually thinking about hiring a salesperson, and I don't know what clicked. I saw your emails come through, and I'm like, I started watching something, and I'm like, well, holy crap, this is what I need. Why do I need to hire somebody else? I already have this. And so, Pete, even though I think I accused you of not getting back to me, when I look back, you did get in touch with me. I missed the email. That's on me. And because I was so busy, I hate to keep on harping on, oh, I was too busy. But I sometimes see emails come through and I go, oh, I got to return to this. I got to get back to this. And I don't. And it wasn't just Pete from Pixl that I didn't respond to. How many agents have I not responded to?
Yeah.
Or, and it's amazing that my business keeps on growing because I probably neglected dozens and dozens of people. So I don't think you can take the ownership of that, because you always have gotten back to me. And then when I started going through your courses, then we were talking weekly. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty frequently with questions and, oh, how did you get this idea? How does this work? How does, tell me more about this? And I was like a sponge taking it all in, because you have so much in those classes that you have to stop it and rewind it, or go through them and replay them and go through them again, or they're there for a resource. It's almost like when you're in college and your college book is full of like sticky notes or little tabs that you got to go back, or you're highlighting stuff. That's how I took a look at your course, and I have notes opened up on my Mac when I was watching your course, and I would make a note. Hey, on this video at this time, he said this. Go back and listen again. So, that's how important it is to me, because like I said, I've been in sales and marketing for so many years. There probably isn't any other course that has ever hit home with me as much as what yours did.
It's awesome. I definitely appreciate that. And if you're listening to this episode and you're saying, well, oh, it's just another course, it's like, the course is what you get to help you, get going on PixlCRM. This isn't another, how to shoot photography course or anything like that. It goes hand in hand with Pixl to help you. We call it the Pixl Marketing Method Masterclass, so that you can learn all of the systems that you need to install into your business, and the PixlCRM helps you do.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne, I definitely appreciate you jumping on this episode. It's always great chatting with you. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention before we wrap up?
I don't think so. It's just how important a good CRM is to your business.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Wayne, and I'll see you on the next episode.
See you later, Pete. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Pixl Marketing Show. If you're ready to go from random acts of marketing to remarkable results, grab your free copy of the Pixl Marketing Method at pixlmarketingmethodbook.com. If this episode helped you, share it with another real estate media business owner. Make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time.